walk down the baking aisle of your local grocery store and you see them shelves packed with different kinds of chocolate powders. You see cacao, cocoa, Dutch processed. They all look almost the same. But what if I told you that choosing the wrong one means you could be missing out on over 70% of the muscle building and health benefits? Today, we are going to clear up all the confusion and expose the great chocolate deception. Welcome back to Healthier Daily, the channel where we give you the simple science-backed truths to live a stronger and more vibrant life after 60. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Carter, and to help us understand the critical difference between these chocolate powders, we are joined by a physician who has always championed the deep wisdom of choosing foods in their most natural and unprocessed state. It is our great honor to welcome Dr. Shigaki Hinohara.
Thank you for having me, Ben. Your body understands the language of real whole food. It does not always understand the language of a factory. The closer a food is to its natural state as it grew on the earth, the more of its original healing power it contains. This is especially true when we talk about the difference between cacao and cocoa.
And that is exactly what our guide is all about today. We are going to put these powders head-to-head in a cacao versus cocoa showdown. For each one, Dr. Hinohara will explain its benefits. I will add the simple science, and we will show you exactly how to read the labels at the grocery store so you never waste your money on the wrong one again. We will also expose the biggest mistake that most people make when they buy these products, and we will show you how to create the perfect muscle-supporting morning routine. It is a true blessing to have the knowledge to be able to choose the purest forms of the foods we've been given. If you are ready to save money and get real nutrition from your morning coffee, please type the number 1 in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. It's completely free. And this guide is full of practical advice. Okay, doctor, let's begin the showdown. To find the truth, let's start with the undisputed champion when it comes to pure nutritional power, even though it may be less known to many of our viewers. Let's talk about raw cacao.
Yes, raw cacao is the pure unroasted form of the chocolate bean. It is the most powerful because it is the least processed. It is the closest to the way that nature made it, and so it contains the most healing potential. The difference a person can feel is quite remarkable. I had a patient, a 71-year-old woman. She had been using regular cocoa powder in her coffee for years, thinking she was getting a health benefit. We had her make one simple switch. She started using just 1 teaspoon of a high-quality raw cacao powder every morning instead. After about 2 weeks, she told me that the general stiffness she usually felt in her body in the morning seemed to disappear, and she said that she had a clean, steady energy that helped her to tend to her garden for hours without feeling fatigued. She called her new morning coffee her liquid strength.
Her liquid strength. I love that. And the science explains exactly why she felt such a dramatic difference. Raw cacao is made from unroasted cold-pressed cocoa beans. This very gentle process preserves the incredibly delicate and powerful plant compounds called flavonoids. Specifically for muscle health, we are talking about 2 flavonoids called epicatechin and catechin. These flavonoids act like tiny messengers in your body. They have been shown in multiple scientific studies to help improve blood flow to your muscles by up to 30%. This means that more oxygen and more nutrients are being delivered exactly where you need them for muscle repair and for daily energy. This powerful circulation-boosting benefit is almost completely lost when cacao is roasted to become regular cocoa. And you mentioned that clean energy that your patient felt. That comes from another wonderful compound that is abundant in raw cacao. It is called theobromine. It is a gentle, natural stimulant, but it is very different from caffeine. It provides a clean, sustained energy that can last for 4 to 6 hours, but without the jitters or the crash that you can sometimes get from too much coffee.
It is a much more balanced and gentle energy for an older person's body.
It is. Now, doctor, let's get very practical. When our viewers go to the store or they are shopping online, the labels can be very confusing. How do they make sure that they are buying real high-quality raw cacao?
You must become a good detective and read the label on the package very carefully. The most important words that you are looking for are raw or unroasted and cold-pressed. These words are your guarantee that the product has been processed with low heat, which is the key to preserving the delicate flavonoids.
And what are the warning words that they should look for and absolutely avoid on the label?
You must avoid any package that says Dutch processed or alkalized. We will talk more about what that specific process means in our next section, but for now, you must know that this is a chemical process that destroys the very health benefits that you are looking for.
So the key is to look for the product that is closest to its natural blessed state. That is a wonderful and a very simple rule for our viewers to remember. So raw cacao is the clear champion when it comes to pure, unadulterated nutritional power. But doctor, I know from the source text for our video that it can be a little bit bitter for some people, and its natural acidity can sometimes be a problem for a senior with a very sensitive stomach. So for that person, what is the worthy alternative?
Yes, this is a very important point. The most powerful food is not always the best food for every single person. We must listen to our own bodies. For a person who finds the raw cacao too bitter, or for someone who has a very sensitive digestive system, a high-quality natural cocoa powder can still be a very good and beneficial choice.
And this is all about the nutritional trade-off that happens during the processing of the bean. To get cocoa powder, the raw cacao beans are roasted at a high temperature. Now, this roasting process, is the source text for our video notes, can destroy between 60% and 90% of the very delicate and beneficial flavonoids. So you are losing a significant amount of the antioxidant power that is found in the raw cacao. However, the roasting process also does something beneficial for some people. It creates that smooth, familiar, less bitter chocolate flavor that many people in America grew up with and enjoy. And very importantly, it also helps to reduce the natural acidity of the bean. This is why a good natural cocoa powder is often much gentler on the stomach for a person who might have issues with acid reflux or GERD.
So, it is a gentler option that still provides some wonderful benefits.
It is. But doctor, this is where the labels in the grocery store get very confusing again. How do our viewers identify a good cocoa powder and avoid the bad ones that have no health benefits at all?
Again, you must be a good detective when you are shopping. You are looking for a product that is labeled natural cocoa powder, or simply unsweetened cocoa powder. The ingredient list on the back of the package should be very, very simple. It should just say, one word cocoa. That is it.
And what are the key warning words that people must avoid on the label?
You must avoid any package that is labeled Dutch processed or alkalized, or sometimes European style. This is a chemical process where the cocoa powder is washed with an alkaline solution. This is done to give the powder a darker color and an even milder, less bitter flavor. But this alkalizing process completely destroys almost all of the remaining healthy flavonoids. A Dutch processed cocoa powder is nutritionally almost worthless for your muscles and your health.
So if we are using a good natural non-alkalized cocoa powder, is there anything we can do to increase the benefit of the good flavonoids that are still left in there?
Yes, there are two very simple and very effective tricks you can use. First, as we have discussed in our video on spices, you can add just a tiny pinch of black pepper to your coffee. The piperine in the pepper will help your body to absorb the remaining flavonoids in the cocoa much more effectively. And second, you should always try to drink your cocoa coffee with a small amount of a healthy fat, like a teaspoon of coconut oil or MCT oil. This also helps to improve the absorption of these fat-soluble compounds. It's a beautiful example of how, with a little wisdom, we can get the most out of the blessed foods we eat. And it's a blessing to be able to share this kind of detailed, practical wisdom with our community. To help us see our global community, please let us know what city, state, or country you are watching from. We love hearing from all of you.
So we now have our two good choices. We have raw cacao for maximum nutritional power, and we have natural unsweetened cocoa as a gentler but still beneficial alternative. Now, doctor, let's talk about the biggest mistake of all. What are the imposters in the chocolate aisle that people should absolutely avoid if they want to get any health benefits?
Yes, this is the most important warning in our entire conversation today. The biggest mistake that I see people make is using hot chocolate mixes, chocolate syrups, or those sweet chocolate-flavored coffee creamers, and believing that they are getting any of the wonderful health benefits of real chocolate. These products are the imposters. The source text for our video shared the story of a gentleman in his late 60s. He was using a very popular liquid chocolate coffee creamer in his coffee every single morning, thinking he was doing something good for himself. But he felt absolutely no improvements in his energy or his strength. When he finally learned the difference and he switched to using a pure unsweetened cacao powder, he told his doctor that he noticed a real positive difference in both his energy and his joint comfort in just a couple of weeks. He realized he had been tricked by the clever marketing on the bottle.
And the marketing on these products is very deceptive. Let's teach our viewers how to read the labels like a professional so they are never tricked again. The rule is very simple. If sugar, corn, syrup, or artificial flavors are listed in the first three ingredients on the label, you must put the product back on the shelf. Real pure cacao or cocoa should always be the very first ingredient. And here is why this is so critically important. The huge amount of added sugar in these imposter products actually increases the inflammation in your body. It completely counteracts and cancels out any small benefit that you might get from the tiny amount of real chocolate that might be in there. For a senior, this added inflammation can worsen your joint pain, and it can even accelerate muscle loss, the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So we must avoid the sugary imposters. Now, doctor, to bring all of this wonderful information together, let's create the perfect morning routine for using real cacao or cocoa. What are your key tips for getting the most benefit?
There are a few simple but very important steps. First is the timing. It is best to have your cacao or cocoa coffee within the first hour of waking up. This is the time when your muscles are most receptive to receiving nutrients after the long overnight fast. Second is the mixing. Raw cacao, as we've said, does not dissolve as easily as the more processed cocoa powder. The best technique is to put your teaspoon of cacao powder in your empty mug first. Then add just a very small amount of your hot coffee and use your spoon to stir it into a smooth, thick paste with no clumps. Then you can slowly stir in the rest of your coffee. This simple trick ensures a perfectly smooth drink every time.
And what about for adding flavor and for boosting the benefits, doctor?
For flavor, instead of using sugar, you can add a healthy and delicious pinch of Ceylon cinnamon, which we know is also wonderful for blood sugar control, or you can add a few drops of pure vanilla extract. And to boost your body's absorption of all the healthy compounds in the cacao, you can add 1 teaspoon of coconut oil, or MCT oil. This healthy fat not only helps with absorption, but it also provides a wonderful, clean source of energy for your brain to start the day.
And finally, it is very important to store your cacao or your cocoa powder in a cool, dark, airtight container to protect its precious and delicate nutrients. It's about treating these blessed healing foods with the respect and the care that they deserve. Doctor, this has been an incredible and very practical guide. So let's end our showdown with your final verdict. To be very clear for everyone watching, how should they choose between raw cacao and natural cocoa?
The choice is very simple. If your main goal is to get the absolute maximum muscle building and anti-aging benefits, and you do not mind a stronger, more bitter chocolate taste, then raw cacao is the clear winner. It is the most powerful. But if you prefer a smoother, more familiar chocolate flavor, or if you have a very sensitive digestive system, then a high-quality, natural, unsweetened cocoa powder is still very beneficial and a wonderful choice. The most important choice of all is simply to avoid the sugary imposters.
That is the perfect summary. It's not about being perfect. It's about making a smarter choice. This is a powerful food-based way to support your body's strength without having to rely on expensive and often ineffective supplements. Choosing real whole foods like these over processed powders is a true cornerstone of good senior health. It is a simple and delicious habit that can have a profound impact on your long-term senior health. By making this small change, you are avoiding the risks of the unregulated supplements industry and taking a proactive step for your future well-being. Now, Doctor, this has been an incredible guide. To make sure our viewers get every single possible benefit from this new habit, can you please walk us through the step-by-step perfect morning ritual using these powerful ingredients?
Of course, to get the most power from this ritual, the details are very important. First, as we have said, is the golden hour. The timing is critical. You should have your cacao or cocoa coffee within the first 60 minutes of waking up. This is because, after a long night of fasting, your muscles are in a catabolic state and are extremely receptive to nutrients. Drinking it in this golden hour ensures the flavonoids and other compounds are delivered to your muscles right when they need them the most to stop the breakdown and start the repair process.
So the timing is key. What about the preparation? You mentioned that raw cacao can sometimes be clumpy.
Yes, the second step is the perfect mix. To avoid clumps, you should never dump the cacao powder into a full cup of coffee. Instead, put your 1 or 2 teaspoons of raw cacao powder into your empty mug first. Then add just a very small amount of the hot coffee, perhaps just a tablespoon, and use your spoon to stir it vigorously into a smooth, thick paste. Once you have this smooth paste, you can then slowly pour in the rest of your coffee while stirring. This simple technique ensures the perfectly smooth and creamy drink every time.
That's a fantastic practical tip. Now, what about making this drink even more powerful? Can we add other ingredients to create a true superfood coffee?
Absolutely. This brings us to Step 3, the Power Trio. These are 3 simple additions that work in beautiful synergy with the cacao or cocoa. First, we add a pinch of Ceylon cinnamon. As we have discussed, this helps to improve your body's insulin sensitivity, which ensures that the nutrients are delivered into your muscle cells more efficiently. Second, if you are using natural cocoa, you can add a tiny pinch of black pepper. The piperine will help to amplify the absorption of the flavonoids. And third, to provide a source of clean energy for your brain and to help with the absorption of the fat-soluble compounds, you can add 1 teaspoon of MCT oil or coconut oil. This power trio of cinnamon, black pepper, and MCT oil turns your simple chocolate coffee into a complete muscle, supporting brain boosting and blood sugar balancing elixir to start your day.
I want to leave you with this one thought. Think of the money you spend on your health as an investment. A cheap processed product is a very poor investment. A high-quality real food like a good cacao or cocoa powder is a wise investment in your strength and in your independence. Your health is worth that small extra investment. And before our final call to action, we must quickly review the health considerations. As the source text notes, both cacao and cocoa contain compounds called oxalates. So if you have a history of kidney stones, you should enjoy them in moderation. They can also have a mild effect on blood pressure and blood thinning. So if you are on medications for those conditions, it is always wise to speak with your doctor first. It's a beautiful reminder to be good stewards of our health by choosing the highest quality of the blessed foods the earth provides. If you found this guide helpful, please give this video a like so that others can find this vital information, and be sure to share it with a friend who you know loves chocolate. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It is completely free, and it ensures you will not miss our next practical health guide. And for our community discussion today, we would love to know, based on what you've learned today, will you be choosing raw cacao or natural cocoa? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for being with us. Be well.